Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
We thank God for bringing us out on another set of worship Shabbat, allow us to come together in fellowship and break bread. And at this time, we are going to go ahead and get our services started. We're going to ask everyone, if they haven't already, to go ahead and put your devices on airplane mode or silent. Including YouTube. Oh, man. Everyone stand to the feet at this time. And we're going to turn and face towards the east. Look towards Jerusalem as we pray. Our peace home will lead us in prayer.
Aliyahu, come before your throne, just thank you and praise you for another set of our Shabbat. Pray that you edify more of his words, more of our hearts, and circumcise our hearts so that we understand the words of the Lord. Thank you for letting us make it to this week. And pray that we just have a wonderful rest of our week. Your son's precious name, set apart.
Hallelujah. We're going to go ahead and get started with our service. And we're going to continue from the theme that we have been on almost 2 months now, the Lamb. And probably next week we're going to go ahead and we're going to transition from that and go into Isaiah 53, but by now I think everybody should have a good understanding of the Lamb, its purpose, from the beginning all the way until the end. Like we say, we've noticed in the scripture that it starts out with the action of a lamb being sacrificed to atone for or cover the transgression or sin of a guilty party. Adam and Eve. And also, we see that the nation of Yashra'al broke a covenant, and therefore we see a sacrificial system instituted. And from that, when we get to the close of the book, or when we get to the New Testament, so to speak, or the Brit Kadashah, we see that Yahushua comes on the scene, but he's introduced as what? The Lamb of Elohim who what? Takes away the sins of the world. And then at the close of the book, you have a depiction or a picture of the marriage supper. Operative word here is marriage. The marriage supper of the Lamb. It's the Lamb who's being what? Slain, but this Lamb also he's doing what at the end?
Fulfilling the covenant.
He's fulfilling the covenant, but what kind of covenant?
Marriage covenant.
Marriage covenant. So if he's fulfilling a marriage covenant, who is his bride?
Yashra'al.
It's the nation of Yashra'al, commonly called Israel. So that's very important. It should be noted and understood, as I said, for educational purposes, that this book is about us from the beginning all the way to the end. It's about what happened to us as a people, starting with the transatlantic slave trade, or even before the transatlantic, but leading up to the transatlantic. When we go back to this covenant, remember that the Most High had shown Abraham in a trance or through a vision 400 years of servitude and affliction that his people would endure in a strange land. That's very important. So, from the rest of the book on throughout, you see the book is about a relationship between the bride and the groom and his adulterous, adulterous and idolatrous bride. And so, from the beginning all the way to the end, this book is about marriage. Something happened in that marriage. The woman became unfaithful. We became an unfaithful bride to Hamashiach. So, because of his love for us, for the woman, he didn't just push her away or put her away. So what you're reading, you read about the ups and downs of a tumultuous relationship between a man and his wife. And he told this woman the conditions of the marriage. One thing that should not surprise the nation of Israel is slavery and captivity. Why is that? Did he not make it very clear from the very beginning when he entered into covenant with us? What did he tell you is going to happen if you break this covenant?
We die.
You're going in bondage. And whenever you read in the scriptures, you don't find it every time you read about the nation of Israel. Where are they at? In bondage or captivity. Started with the Egyptians, Babylonians, Assyrians, Medo-Persians, or the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, then the Romans. From the Romans, we went from that until went and migrated from East Africa, so to speak, and migrated and went off into the interior of the continent of Africa, all the way to the west coast. Then you have the sub-Saharan or Saharan slave trade, where we were slave to the Turks and Ottomans and Islam for what? 11 to 1400 years. At the end of that, they sold us to the Portuguese, and the Portuguese to the British, which started what? The transatlantic slave trade. So most of our entire existence has been in captivity. To this very day, we're in captivity. We don't have a homeland to return to. You yet remain in the land where your ancestors were brought here as slaves. And that's what the whole book is about, the restoration of his people. Did he say, I'm going to gather you from the nations of the four corners of the earth, from whence you were carried away captives of slaves? So, with that, he's going to what? Redeem his bride. He's going to restore his bride. It was always his plan that Israel what? Rule over the world, rule over all the nations. But because, let me tell y'all something. Y'all often hear me say, when, let's say, if this tabletop is the foundation, if I'm at a plateau or a level right here, and I fall right here, the impact isn't that significant. Now, if I'm on a plateau and I'm way up there, and I fall way down here, the impact is very significant. That's why it's so hard for us as a people, as being so-called African Americans in the nation. They don't understand our plight and why it hurts so much, and why we're damaged, and why psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, it has had the effect on us the way it has. It's because you were a royal people. You were way up there. There was no nation anymore or had any more royalty than the nation of Yashra'al. We were way up there and we fell way down here. That's why it has such an impact on us. And the other nations know it. That's why you don't find it strange. They have what is called the African Union that they've been working on. And you just got, I don't know if all of the African countries have joined that union. I know it was like one or two that they were waiting to join it. The whole continent of Africa was going to unite and come together as one continent, instead of how the British and the English and the French and all these people divided that continent up into all these so-called little countries. And so they're coming back going to be united as one, but they were saying it can't be done because of one thing. The most important part that's missing is the children of the diaspora, us, those ones that were carried away slaves. And so they understand that. And what you see is, with these countries uniting, or that continent united, what's going to take place is you're going to have something now where there's going to be infrastructure set up for Yahuwah's people if they should start making or deciding they want to start journeying back that way. I tell people, you have to realize something. For some reason, Hebrew Israelite, we always want to give the continent of Africa and the people of that continent a bad rep and look down upon them. We always forget, okay, they say, yeah, they sold us into captivity. No, they didn't. Yahuwah sold you into captivity. They're just the people he used to do it. We always try to pass the fault and the blame on everybody instead of taking the responsibility of our own actions. We did this to ourselves. This man made us a royal people. You see, people don't talk about the wealth of the nation of Yashra'al and what they had. Do y'all not know the wealth of when we went into Portugal and when we were in Spain? We were filthy rich in these lands. Before they captured us and enslaved us and stole our wealth, we were a wealthy people. But we weren't going to be able to attain that wealth. Why? Because he had already passed the judgment on us. No matter where we went, you were not going to be a wealthy people. He said what? You were going to be the tail and not the head. He said you're going to be the borrower, not the lender. He said other nations are going to what? Come in amongst you. That's going to go high. But ye shall remain low. But he also promised us, and that was scripture because I want to do a lesson on it. And I think it's in the Apocrypha, that's a prophecy how he speaks of in that time, at the end, those nations that were against us, they shall be there for us and be a help to us in the end. Mm-hmm. Because one thing you have to always do is pay attention to scripture. Whenever Israel was in trouble, where did they seek refuge and run to? Was it always in Africa or under the nation of Ham? It was always. So why do we have this thing that we're so against the African people and the African nations? We always went amongst them for help. When there was a famine in the land, the Most High sold Joseph into captivity where?
Egypt.
For what reason though?
Protect them.
To protect them and be a salvation and a savior to Israel, his people. He knew exactly why he was sending Joseph into Egypt. He could see further than they could. He knew that there was going to be a great famine in the land, but to save and protect his people, he already had set up something what? He had already set up infrastructure there. What was that infrastructure? You can't say they didn't have a system or anything down in there where his family could just run where to go.
But Joseph went down there and set up everything for him.
Right, because what was Joseph's position in Egypt?
He was second in command.
Yeah, he was the viceroy. Roy, what we call here as the, what's the president, vice president?
Vice president.
He was the second in charge. And not just over Egypt. Egypt had world dominance at that time. So,
But not only that, he said that only in the throne am I more powerful than you.
he said, only in the throne am I more powerful. I mean,
He's
so,
more powerful than the king everywhere else.
but you notice this was among who? A Hamitic people? Or should I say Kemetic or Kemet? So, what happened when Hamashiach was born and the satanic Romans were seeking to what? To devour or take his life. What did he tell Joseph and Mary to take their baby? Didn't he say go take him where?
In Egypt.
Why did he tell them to take him down to Egypt? We always had refuge amongst the African nations. He said take him down into Egypt. Where did he send Abraham? Down into a Hamitic country. Where did he send Isaac? And see, this is the same. We keep forgetting the scriptures, and we're not looking at what's happening. So, what you see is something being set up, and in place that these people keep crying. I don't know if you guys have seen the plans for the continent of Africa, what they have in mind. If you see Black Panther, that's what they're planning for that continent. And you know what that thing is? They want all of the children of the diaspora to come back to that land. Because all of these opportunities, they want to give to them first before the greedy Europeans and Asians come in and try to take up all the opportunities. So what you see, you can see the Most High doing something, but say went off of that, you have to realize Israel was royalty. They were a royal people. They're yet a royal people. We're just paying off this sin debt. So, with all of that, all of this stuff took place, all of this punishment because of what? A marriage covenant was broken. A marriage covenant was broken. Now, let's look at something. Let's go to Shemot, Exodus 19 and 5.
Exodus 19, verse 5. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yashra'al.
Okay, stop right there. He said, now therefore, if you what? Obey my voice indeed, and keep what?
My covenant.
Keep my covenant. He said, then ye shall what?
Be above all people, or be a peculiar treasure unto me.
He said what?
Priests.
Say it again.
Said it'd be a kingdom of priests.
He said there will be a kingdom of priests. Does anybody know what it means to be a kingdom of priests?
Show how everybody else supposed to live.
Right.
It means the whole nation will be a priest.
Yeah, the whole nation would be a kingdom, would be priest. Priestly to teach the word. Yeah, because, okay then. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Read that again real slow.
Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
He said, you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me. Me being the Father Yahuwah. Above what?
All people.
Above all people, for all of the what? Earth is mine. So, if the Most High said, all of the earth is mine, why is he saying, for all of the earth is mine? Why would he emphasize that?
He has the right to do it. He can do what he wants to do. It's his. He made it.
Right. Now try to show people the difference. What was the difference between the Melchizedek and the Levitical order?
Melchizedek, a priest of, everybody was a priest of, under that priesthood, under the Levitical priesthood, under the Levi, you know, from the tribe of Aaron.
They're right. Under the Melchizedek, everybody was a priest of that priesthood.
Right.
The order was already being set up for the covenant or the renewal of the broken covenant that would take place many years later. And one thing you'll notice about the Levitical priesthood or system was that a mobile priesthood or was it confined to a certain place?
I think it was confined to a certain place.
Right, it was confined
The land.
to a certain place, to the land, to the temple,
Right.
to those services of the temple. What about the Melchizedek? When the Melchizedek met Abraham, he was mobile. Which signifies this is going to be an earthly reign or an earthly priesthood. This is why you must emphasize what? The earth is mine. That temple and that priesthood was confined and had jurisdiction over what? Jerusalem and Israel only. Am I making any sense what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. One of the things that what I wanted to I guess, get clarity on is so that, yes, we will be in the kingdom, and I guess the kingdom will be in Jerusalem still, but ultimately, we will have control of the whole earth.
Right, his kingdom is the whole earth.
Right. Versus right now, we're really, even though we're not there, really we're still confined to just Israel.
Say that again then.
I said, even though we're not there in the land, we're only, as a people, we only have ownership of that one land.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
But under his rule, we will have ownership of the earth because we'll rule over all nations and all people on the earth. It's a reason why when the New Jerusalem, when it was shown coming down, he gave the Malachim, or which says the man, a measuring rod, and he measured what? The inner courts, and it was exactly 144,000 cubits. 144,000 is always in representation of Israel. Or the set apart remnant. But we know his rule is going to be over the earth, so therefore the earth becomes his kingdom. Keep reading on your road.
Exodus 19, verse 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a set apart nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yashra'al. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuwah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah hath spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahuwah.
So there you have the nation of Yashra'al accepting a marriage proposal. Now, let's go look at something right quick. Let's go over to that was verse what? Verse 6.
We stopped at verse 8.
Okay, then. Let's go to Luke 22 and 20.
Luke 22, verse 20. Likewise, also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. But behold, the hand of him betrayeth me is with me on the table. And truly the Son of Man goeth, as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom is betrayed. And they began to inquire among themselves, which of them is it, or it was, that should do this thing. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief, as he that doth serve.
Okay, so what did he say about the Gentiles that what? Yeah, they are benefactors, but what did he say about them? Did he say they rule over them?
Right.
Remember, they were where? In Jerusalem? They were in Jerusalem in a land that was given to them, but another people was ruling over them. Just like we say here, we have what is called the illusion of freedom. We're not free in this land. It's no different than when they were in their land under another people. We still have to abide by somebody else's rules and regulations. Our people had our own rules and regulations and guidelines and stuff to abide by and to follow. But because they were in captivity, guess what? Those things could not what? Supersede or usurp what was going on in the land. Let me tell you something. If I got legislation and I have laws that usurp or supersede the laws of the people whose land I'm in, they're not my oppressors, or they don't rule over me. Am I right? In the United States of America, show me what body of legislation supersedes the Constitution. You have to show me that. This is why we have to be able to look at what's going on with the nation of Yashra'al. It is very important. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it, keep saying it till I turn blue in the face. You have to be able to distinguish the difference and know that the book of the covenant and the book of the law are not synonymous. It's the book of the covenant that got the nation of Yashra'al or Israel in trouble. It wasn't the book of the law. The book of the law came afterward. And why? Because the book, right, because the book of the covenant was broken. One is the effect of another. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we have to realize and understand what we're actually doing and what we say to people when we tell them certain things.
So, right now, we're under the law, we're under the covenant. I mean, the book of the covenant.
We're not under neither one. How can you be under the law? One is going to be abolished now.
Right?
You can't be under the law when something that's going to be abolished.
So I thought, didn't Mashiach come to abolish that?
He sure did.
So, did
And come to establish what?
the new covenant?
How can we be under the new covenant? We're not married yet.
We're not married yet, we're not under the covenant yet.
That's
So
my
then where
point.
are we? Are we under the covenant or under the law?
We're not under neither one. You can't be. And that's what I keep trying to show people. I had the discussion. Let me tell you something when it comes to the law. In this land, the United States Constitution is supreme. Is there any body of legislation, and I'm asking the question, that's for out there in Facebook, YouTube land, or whatever, and just as well as here. Name me a body of legislation that we can go in any government building and say, this body of legislation has precedent over the United States Constitution. Somebody name me that legislation. There is none. Read that scripture I just, the one you just read again. You still gotta read this over. Luke, okay, thank you, brother. Yeah.
Luke 22:20. Likewise, also the cup after supper, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you.
Stop right there. He said, this cup is what?
New Testament.
The New Testament or New Covenant. Well, in my blood, in my what? In my blood, that was what? Shed for you. Go ahead.
But behold, the hand of him that betrayeth me is with me on the table.
If I know that's Jews.
And truly the Son of Man goes, as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to inquire among themselves,
Now listen to this real good.
which of them is it that should do this thing? And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them.
The kings of the Gentiles, what?
Exercise
lordship over them. So if they exercise lordship over them, who's doing what who say do? They're doing what the what? Gentiles say they do. And I keep telling people, go back and read some history. You have to understand what's going on in Jerusalem at that time. The only reason the Jews were able to do anything or practice any of their customs or any of that stuff is because the Romans allowed them to in order to keep what? Peace and insurrection from arising in the land. They let them handle their own people, but they still let only a certain faction of them do it. That's why you had other Israelites, a different section of Israelites all throughout that land. But they couldn't come in Jerusalem anywhere practicing or keeping any of their stuff unless they went through this one particular party. And if they weren't authorized like the Jews that made a pact with the Romans, these people suffered persecution and put it out. These are the ones when y'all see the movie Gladiator, although those Romans that fight, the ones that fight are blacks, that's the history they don't tell you about. Y'all never seen the movie 300?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all do know the 300 were black, right? Y'all did know that, right?
When they children of Dan?
Yeah, they were Israelites.
I mean, were they the children of Dan or were they the children of
I don't know that you were then.
which one of the sons got cut off? The children of Dan, right?
Right.
I thought they were the children of Dan. I read that somewhere.
And so what you see is, you had that one portion, kind of like when they were under the Greeks, how you had certain Yahudim that made pacts with the Greeks so they wouldn't lose social status, wouldn't lose their position of power and authority, but they still had to operate under the Greeks and do it the way the Greeks say. So when the Romans came on the scene, it was nothing different. They were still doing the same thing. That's why you had the Qumran communities and other different sects who they operated outside of Jerusalem for that purpose. Because you weren't allowed to do any of that stuff in Jerusalem. Only what they were allowed, those religious, Pharisee, butt kissing, butt dancing, Yahudim were Jews at that time. Everything had to go through them. I tell people that one of the best books to get some understanding on that history of what's going on in Jerusalem, Dr. Rudolph Wenzel, a rabbi, he's a rabbi as well. He wrote a book called Judea Trembles Under Rome. And you get a lot of this history and information. So, what you're seeing is, only what they are being allowed to do is being taking place. The reason I'm pointing this out is because I'm trying to show you, in captivity, your laws do not supersede the laws of the people that govern over you. How do we know that? What happened with Alexander during the Hellenistic time period? Then they sent out a decree in what? The Yahudim or the Jews get caught doing any of their religious practice, circumcision, any of that stuff to do what? Put them to death. It got to the point they had to do what? Rebel. You don't rebel on something unless you feel you've been oppressed by something. That's why I said I can prove my point with this. I can go with the best of them on this. I don't care what nobody. So let me tell you something. Me and Big Brother Zabu were having a conversation earlier in the week, and I was saying we were talking about the same thing. I said, let me tell you something. I said you got a lot of Israelite people teach Torah. I said the Torah says what? If a man be caught lying with a woman, as he would lie, if a man would be caught lying with a man, as he would be caught lying with a woman, what does the Torah say? Put him to death. Does not the Torah say put him to death? Can you legally do that in the United States of America? Because what does their Constitution say? Yeah, they even condone what? Same-sex marriages now. The Torah forbids same-sex anything. This Constitution, what? Accept and allow same-sex marriage. So in a court of law, if those actions were taken, and somebody caught two men together, and they put these men to death, which one is going to stand in a court of law? Torah or the Constitution?
Constitution.
Why the Constitution? It's the law of the land. Did he not tell them to obey the law of the land?
Yes, it did.
Who was the governing everybody in the land when he told them that?
Romans.
The Romans. Did not he give a prime example when Peter was wrestling about paying a temple tax? Remember, a temple tax, something that specifically belongs to or pertains to Israel. He asked Peter, why wrestle back and forth with that? He said, take the money out of your pocket. He said, look at the coin. He said, whose image do you see on it? Peter said, Caesar. He said, well, render unto Caesar what is due to him. But you'll find it strange, he didn't just stop there. Didn't he go on to make an analogy of the king and the king having children? And how the kingdom, people of the kingdom is what? They would have to pay what? Tribute or tax to what? The king. Y'all know good well a king's children would not be paying taxes or tribute to a king. Not his own children. Or the other subjects would. And this is why he made this analogy. But I'm going to help Israel though. I might lose a lot of friends along the way helping, but I'm going to help them. This is why he's saying, be ye not entangled in bondage anymore. Why do y'all keep thinking he's focused on, they calling the law a burden? Do y'all get this? But if you understand what is going on and what he's trying to do, you understand why he's calling it a burden. That's why I tell people, in this captivity, get Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. I wasn't even trying to go to all these places. The 30th chapter. Start at verse 1. We'll read down to verse 8.
What verse?
Deuteronomy 30, verse 1.
Deuteronomy 30.
Deuteronomy 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee.
The blessings and the curse, we can go to Deuteronomy, read those. We can also go to Leviticus, I believe. What is the more verses in Leviticus? I just slipped my mind. I'm sure it is. Go ahead.
And thou shalt come, or thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations.
You're going to call all these things to mind where? What are we doing here today? Aren't we sitting here calling these things to mind? But where are we calling to mind at? In Jerusalem? In the land that he promised us? Or we call them in those lands when we were scattered? Now keep reading.
Whither Yahuwah, thy Elohim, hath driven thee.
Start there.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahuwah thy Elohim hath driven thee, and shall return unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart, and with all thy soul. That then Yahuwah thy Elohim will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither Yahuwah thy Elohim hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence Yahuwah thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will be fetched thee. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, and to love Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do
Right, good, right there, so what we're supposed to be, it's all about our hearts and turning our hearts and the hearts of our children, what? Back to Him. Now let's go read some, let's get 1 Kings 8 and 47. And Al-Kisabu get 2 Chronicles 6 and 37.
First Kings 8, verse 47. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, We have sinned and have done perversely, we have committed wickedness, and so return unto thee with all their heart, and with all their soul, in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers.
This is why when we pray, we look towards Jerusalem. From the land of our captivity, we face our homeland. We pray towards our homeland. But when He said, if ye shall bethink, or if they shall bethink themselves in the land where they were carried away captive. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Which thou gavest unto their fathers, and the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause. And forgive thy people that have sinned against thee, in all their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee. And give them compassion before them who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them.
Go ahead.
For they be thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt, from the midst of the furnace of iron.
That's good. 2 Chronicles 6 and 37.
Second Chronicles 6 and verse 37. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whether they are carried captive, and land in turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, We have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly. If they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whether they have carried themselves captive, and pray towards their land which thou gavest unto their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for my name, then hear thou from the heaven, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. Keep going. Now, my God, now my Elohim, let I beseech thee, thine eyes be opened, and let thine ears be attend unto the prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore arise, O Yahuwah thy Elohim, into thy resting place. Thou in the ark of thy strength, let the priest, Yahuwah thy Elohim, be clothed with salvation, and let the saints rejoice in goodness. O Yahuwah thy Elohim, turn not away
the face of thine anointed. Remember the miracles of David thy servant. Keep going.
No, that's good, right? And so what we see here, he's telling Israel to rethink themselves in the land where they were carried away captive. So, if someone was to say that we are still under the law, governed by the law, the number one question to be asked should be what? What was the number one priority to even operate under the law? Something had to be in place in order for them to be able to operate under the law.
It would have to be in their own land.
Okay, the land, but that's not the number one thing.
Well, they would have to be ruling over themselves.
That's not the number one thing.
It's not what? Okay, help.
Okay, the temple, and more so the temple, but even before the temple, they had to have something else. A Levitical order. You would have to have a Levitical priesthood or a Levitical order to operate under the law. Am I crazy?
So the Pharisees and all of that, they weren't the Levitical order. They weren't of the nation of Levi by the time when Christ was crucified. That was not in place.
That was good. That's a good question too, because that's a teaching that we're going to be on that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to go into the priesthood during the time of Hamashiach and the Talmudim. You know they're not Levites except from the way he's talking to them. He called them a generation of vipers and everything.
Well, yeah.
You know he would. So what has? See, I'm telling y'all, it's very important that you pay attention to the actions and the words that the Talmudim or the disciples speak, and the words that Hamashiach speaks. If he's calling the temple a den of thieves going in there whipping, and if he's calling people a generation of vipers, saying their father was the devil and he was a murderer from the beginning, you know, you just can't read over that and leave it alone. Why is he saying that?
Well, people said they were selling things in the temple. They weren't following.
Because you have to go. So if you got Herod sitting on the throne, calling himself king of the Jews, you ought to know something wrong with that picture. If that the throne itself has become corrupt, we know the priesthood is corrupt. So, the first thing you would have to have is a Levitical order and a Levitical priesthood set up to even operate under the law.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even without the sacrifices. The priest's only job wasn't the sacrifices only. So, when we go back to what was broken, and so how would we bethink ourselves? Even the things that we're talking about, even when we go back to the 10 different or commandments or writings or words, I should say. These things were pre-law. A clean diet was pre-law. How do we know that? He gave no specific instructions on how to bring the animals on the ark.
Mm-hmm.
He said bring the clean in sevens and the unclean in twos. I know in school they teach you that he brought the animals on the ark 2 by 2. No, he didn't. It was only the unclean animals he brought in the pairs of twos. The clean animals went on in sevens. So why would he have to tell, notice, or differentiate or distinguish unclean and clean?
For food, I guess he needs more for food.
Exactly. So we can see all of these things, the Sabbath or the Shabbat. Did the Shabbat come about because of the law, or was it established at the foundation? It was established at the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Before the book of the law, he had already established a way of life and how we should live. Was Cain and Abel before or after the book of the law?
Sure.
We can read all the way up to where the book of the law was established and already have a blueprint of how man is supposed to live and govern himself. But what we have to undo is undo this mentality and all of these cartoons and stuff that they played from our infancy growing up and giving us about biblical story, cartoons and stuff, and you seeing all this stuff from a European perspective, and none of it is scripturally based. None of it. We read about David and Goliath, they tell you he took 3 smooth stones and killed Goliath. The stones was just to get his attention. That rod is the one that split his head to the white meat.
What
But see, Aaron's rod.
I read the story again.
And so this is the part we don't get.
I don't.
Remember we was talking about how that staff or that rod, or Aaron's rod, it was passed down as an heirloom all the way down till it got to David. And from David all the way up to David, it didn't go to anybody else. But what we see is that we always try to figure out how David could beat lions and bears and stuff as a child. It's that rod of correction. That's how he did it. But I didn't mean to segue to that. But what I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, because that's about to open up a whole nother box of worms.
Yeah. The Father had already established and laid out how mankind, or we should live, even all the way up before he gave them the book of the law, the law. Do y'all not know the only reason they were given laws is because they were a hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious group of people? He had to give them something to discipline and guide them by. He never wanted to give them all that stuff, but he had already told them what to do. Thou shalt not what?
Still.
Have no Elohim before me. Thou shalt not what? Take his name in vain. You shouldn't have any kind of images. Any of that kind of stuff. He said, thou shalt not steal, kill, commit adultery. He had given them 10 things to do. And those 10 things are what we're going to make this group of people a pleasing bride to her groom, or pleasing in the Father's eyesight. Those things. But because they were hard-headed, stiff-necked, and rebellious, and he saw that, they went from being his people to Moses' people. And Moses tried to give their asses right back to him. Did he not? These people were terrible. And that's why he gave them the book of the law. It was never his intention to give them that. He was actually trying to give them an opportunity to prove themselves, to allow him to break up that fallow ground, that stony ground, which was their heart. That's the whole reason why he wrote the commandments on stone. The commandments were just, the stone was just a picture of Israel's heart. Got so mad, Moses took the stones and broke them. And what did he do after he broke them? After he broke them? Did he not ground them up into powder? And made them a little Gatorade and made them drink it? Y'all didn't know that, right?
No.
I'm gonna stop asking those kind of questions because y'all answers catch me off guard.
No, that's good.
Yeah, he ground those stones up into powder, mixed them with water. They made them drink it. Drink it. He had given them something. The body of legislation law was only because they were hard-headed and disobedient. That's why they gave. When he no sooner than they broke the covenant, he realized what he was dealing with. Of course, he knew all the time, but he always give us an opportunity. How much time we got, Big Brother? Because I feel like I'm over. Almost 2 minutes. So what we're gonna do is, I will pick back up next week, and I think we're just gonna go ahead and get into Isaiah 53. Y'all feel like y'all understand the Lamb enough now? So we will go ahead and get into Isaiah 53 next Shabbat. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. At this time, we are going to stand and we are going to turn to face the east and look towards Jerusalem, our homeland. And Akizubu is going to pray us out.
Aliyahu, we thank you once again for meeting us here and speaking through the Moreh in order, again, to just kind of shock and awe and just lead us back into the place where we need to be in order to partake of the gift that you will be giving us in the end, which is our place in your kingdom, not just as visitors or as what do you call those people? Strangers, but as your chosen people, Father. We thank you, we praise you, we magnify you, we, Father, just humbly bow down before you because there is none like you. Again, we don't follow you just because your word says we're supposed to. We humbly follow you because we know you're right. We know everything you are about, everything you say is right, and it benefits us if we would just follow. That's been hard for us as a people throughout this thousands of years. But Father, we're getting it, and we're waking up, and we're seeing the truth, and we're willing to follow. We can't wait till you return. And we can partake in our marriage. We ask that you would look in upon all those who wanted to make it here today, and that you would just help them have a great time. Again, that you would mend a broken heart and lift up a bowed down head. Those who are sick, may you meet them at the level of their needs. Those who have any mental issues or any grievance or sadness in their hearts, again, lift it up. We pray that you would take us to the rest of our day, give us traveling graces in your Son. In Yahuwah's name we pray. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I don't know how to stop this. I was trying to read, I was trying